Hi everyone, thank you for joining. So we have a special event today. We have Daniel from Oracle. Daniel is a cybersecurity specialist from London, and he will be walking us through some insights on life in Oracle with a big tech giant, and he will be giving some guidance on how to land your career and any questions you have. And Daniel will also walk us through that what's his day-to-day life like and how does he feels about the job and what he's currently working on. So, Daniel, over to you.
Thank you, Ali. Is everyone here able to hear me okay? Brilliant. I can see a few people nodding. Great. Thank you. Let me just share my screen. Hopefully I can do that without any technical issues, which would be nice. Brilliant. Hopefully you can see a welcome slide.
We can see
Sounds
it.
good. So welcome. Thank you for having me here. I'm going to be speaking about something I'm quite passionate about and really care about, career development, um, mentoring, job searching, job hunting, all that sort of stuff. So thank you for having me, Ali, and the team. And couple of disclaimers, I guess, before we start. I think the second one on here is more important. I do suck at creating PowerPoints. So if any of you want to give me some PowerPoint lessons in the future, hit me up. My inbox is open. I'm not the most creative when it comes to PowerPoints. So hopefully if this isn't boring, I did try and keep this presentation very short, and the stuff on the slides is quite brief. So I'm going to be doing a bit of talking and just to complement what's on the slides. But I'd like to keep this interactive. So if you do have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them as we go along, or towards the end if we have a bit of time. And I'll also be asking a couple of questions through the presentation to keep it interactive. So again, use the chat feature. I'll have it open, I'll monitor it. Okay, brilliant. Let's begin. So who am I? Danny, as Ali mentioned, currently work at Oracle, but I've been in the industry for about 6 years now. I graduated in 2018, and I've been fortunate enough to kind of start working from the week I graduated. I had my first role, and ever since then been working without a break. So kind of fortunate there. But that's my journey, and the reason why I put it on there is to show that it wasn't easy. It was full of challenges. Applying to different jobs, moving. You can see I spent about 8 months at Darktrace, then 10 months at ITC, and been with Oracle for about 5 years now. This is my current job. But this is just to give you an idea of my background and experience, to give you some context around what I'll be sharing. Okay, so moving on, I think we will be focusing on sort of 3 to 4 things in this presentation. Again, I promise you, I'm going to try not to bore you with death by PowerPoint. So going to keep this brief and interactive. But I guess the first thing would be around job searching. So how do you look for a job? Some of the challenges, we can have a discussion on that, and then move on to once you do land your job, how do you navigate yourself in a company? How do you progress that promotion you want? How to move up, all that sort of stuff. And finally, we will be talking about some leadership as well. I've been in a leadership role and position, so I can give you some insights from that perspective as well. And we can also cover things like what to look out for in a good manager and stuff like that. So let's go. So creating your luck. I think I'll explain this in a bit more detail after we go over some of the questions. But in the chat, I'd like you to kind of put, if you do apply for a job and you face a rejection, let's say in a week, couple of weeks, you have that email, right? That you weren't successful in that job. What are some of the reasons why companies reject candidates in your experience or opinion? I'd love to hear in the chat feature. What are some of the reasons why companies say no? Let me actually open the chat window on the side. Yep, don't fit the role. Skill sets, definitely. Not knowing anything about the company. Yep, that's a good one. Yep. resume, CV not tailored to the job description. Again, very important one. ATS non-compliant resume. Yep. Find someone better than you. That's a good one. Experience. Too many people applied for the role. Yes, we see that a lot. 100 plus applications on LinkedIn. It's quite common, right? So yeah, some great answers. Definitely a lot of those reasons, but I guess most of these reasons are kind of going towards you as an individual. So you didn't reach the job description, or you did something wrong, right? But I guess I'd like you to think from a company's perspective as well, right? And this is quite important because a lot of the times we kind of focus too much on us and bring ourselves down as to why we got to know. But sometimes it just really isn't in our hands in terms of what's actually happened. So sometimes you haven't even seen the job. There's a job out there. You saw it too late. You applied. They already found someone, right? Classic case. You have no control over it. Um, Too many people applied. That was mentioned on there. Your CV wasn't even viewed. I guess could be ATS non-compliant or too many applications again. That could be the reason. But sometimes there's things like hiring managers have their own biases or preferences. Maybe you aced that technical interview, but during that conversation with the hiring manager, they just clicked with someone else, and that impacted their decision. Now, you did all the right things. You did technically, like, brilliant things, and you were yourself in that hiring manager interview, but they just made a different choice because they liked someone else. Look, this is reality. As much as we you know hate to say it, there are things happening out there. There's biases, people get affected, and stuff like this happens. Sometimes funding gets removed, so there's a job posted, you apply, you interview, but then companies decide they no longer have funding for the role, right? In that case, you did all the right things, but job isn't there anymore. Someone got promoted internally, found a better candidate. Sometimes the job doesn't even exist. This is such a big thing that not many people know of. Sometimes there are, of course, fake job postings. Sometimes people or companies put out jobs just to get a feel of the candidates in the market. So if you fit that job description 100% and you still don't hear back, maybe it's not you, maybe it's just a job of the company. They just didn't want someone in the first place, right? So I guess the reason for having this slide is it's not always you. So if you have the right skills, the right skill set, the right match with the job, sometimes it just isn't you. It's just not meant to be. So what I'm trying to say is there are things you can control and things you can't really control. So we have to try and focus on the things we can control when we do, job hunting, sending us CVs during the interview stages, all that stuff. So I guess the things that can work, so things you can work on and things you can control. And the reason why I have create your luck is because what we have just discussed, you need a bit of luck to land a role. Like it or not, you have to have all of the things aligning in the right order for you to land that position. Starting from the scratch, you have to have seen that job. So maybe you have an alert set on LinkedIn or your favorite job board about a job coming up. You get notified. That's the first step. If you don't see that job, you won't get it, right? So you have to see the job. You have to apply it before the company has decided on what candidates they want to go ahead with. Maybe they're already in round two. You applied too late. So that has to fall in place. Company has to have budget. You need to be a technical match for the role. Your CV needs to be somewhere where it's seen. So if they have 1,000 candidates, maybe your CV just clicked. It was in the first like 25 resumes and you got put forward by chance. It happens, right? So what I'm trying to say is there's so many things that have to fall in place, but some of the things we can do to make both the application and also the interview stages a bit more easier and a bit more um, kind of increasing our chances of success is some of these things. So I guess I'm going to start with networking because it's down there, but it's one of the major ones, right? You have to network on LinkedIn and network like crazy. Like this is something I did, and which is why I mentioned my work experience. 6 months before I graduated, I started reaching out to people on LinkedIn, and I was shameless about it. I wasn't like, give me a job. like, hi, give me a job. No, it doesn't work. The way I contacted people was that, look, I'm graduating. I see you have experience. You're doing something I want to do in 6 months. Can we have a 20-minute conversation? Do you have some time? Let's just connect. And believe it or not, one of those conversations kind of helped me land my first job because they knew someone who knew someone who wanted someone, right? So um, networking is so important, right? And the stuff you've been doing in terms of the 7-day challenge. Again, you're kind of putting content out there. People are commenting. You're networking. You're making connections, right? So that really helps. Be honest. So be authentic about yourself. So when both on your resume and also during the interview. So when you do apply for a job, you go into a job interview, be your authentic self and be honest about your skills. Because the minute you try and be dishonest or make things up, it's very easy for the person who is conducting the interview to figure out that you're just BSing, right? So um, be honest about your skills. You'd rather be honest and say, look, I haven't worked on this before, than try and make something up because you're just digging a deeper hole for yourself. And managers generally like people who are honest and say, look, I haven't done this before, but open to learning this in the future. Um, put some effort in. I've seen so many posts on LinkedIn, and I made a post about this on LinkedIn myself. When there's a job posted and all people do is comment on it saying interested. Now, trust me, that will 99% of the times never work. It's like someone advertising a house for sale, and then you just dropping them a letter through their letterbox, post saying, I'm interested. They have people who will turn up, give them an offer, talk to them in person, have communication, give them some mortgage approvals, all that sort of stuff. So just commenting on a LinkedIn post about a job saying interested is just not putting the effort in. If you're really interested, see what the job is, send a personal message to the person. That will work most of the times. Interested will hardly ever work. So put some effort in, understand what the company does, do some research, as someone pointed in the chat earlier. Um, and then take notes, bring some notes to interviews. I've done that before. Be honest about it. Say, look, I have this interview, but there are things that I have on my notes. So I want to make sure that if you question me about a certain thing that I've done before, I'd like everything to be covered because I'm a human. I can't remember every single thing, right? So I have my keynotes here about some of the technical projects I've worked on, some of my achievements, some of my statistics about optimization, like 20% faster deployment time, all that stuff. It's on here. I want to make sure I can reference it. That shows you're kind of organized, you're serious about the interview, you won that job. And finally, I think one of the most important things is working on your communication skills, because no matter how technically brilliant you are, you have to be able to communicate effectively. And that doesn't just necessarily mean talking or in person, but also when you write stuff. So when you're writing things on LinkedIn, the way you communicate your information makes a big difference, because what the technical stuff is in your brain, you understand it, but does the other person understand it the way you do? That's really important, right? So again, as I said, creating your luck is about maximizing your chances both in the application process and also in the interview process to make sure that you have the highest chances. And look, sometimes you're going to fail, it's going to happen, you're going to get rejected, but you have to kind of move on from that. Try and learn from that. So if the companies give feedback, ask for it. If they give feedback, well and good. If not, move on. Um, Sometimes they just don't care, they have too many applications, but feedback can also help you in terms of improving the next time. So moving on, once you've landed a role, you work in a company. um, I think generally, and this is my opinion, by the way, there are kind of three categories of people when you work in a role, in a job, in a corporate, right? You have folks that do the bare minimum, people that go a bit the extra mile in terms of a couple of things. And then there's superstars, right, who are out there doing all of the things and kind of doing amazing things, going out. And we're going to discuss this in a bit more detail. But what I want to emphasize on this slide is there's no right and wrong on this slide. So your success is subjective to you as a person. None of this is better than the other in terms of, um, for me, none of this is, takes a kind of precedence over the other in terms of you as a person, individual, because your success means what your success means to you is for you. No one else can define your success for you, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're kind of content with doing the bare minimum, that's you, it's fine. But what we're going to discuss in the next slide is if you want to be a superstar, if you kind of want to go really forward, have that growth mindset, you want to improve, you want to be a CTO, you want to be a tech lead, you want to be a CEO one day, what are some of the things you can be working on or you should be looking out for in a company is something we're going to be discussing in the next slide. So before we move on, I guess, again, chat again, what are some of the things you think that a superstar does in a company that may get them a promotion, a pay rise, or growth into a better paid position, or growth in their career in general? So it could be a skill set, could be just characteristics, traits, leadership, being a team player. Mm-hmm. Yeah, being an expert in a domain, for sure. Anything else? Good leader. Yep, these are all great. So building off of these, multitasking, good knowledge. Yep, good listener. Collaboration, communication, new idea solutions, especially in the industry. Yep, definitely, for sure. So I guess we don't need to continue. We have all the answers here in the chat. Creating reports and being organized. Yep, for sure. Cool. So yeah, you've covered lots of stuff. There are a few others that I have on the slide, so I can just go to the end. I told you I hate PowerPoints. You can tell by the animations. So some of the things you can do that you may not already be doing if you do want to be that extra, superstar in your organization, in your team. We've discussed networking already, but what I mean by networking here is when you do land a job, you land in a big corporate enterprise. I'm talking from the perspective of like an Oracle, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, big companies, and this applies to small companies as well. You have internal org charts for the company of who does what. Try and build a network of people that you know. It could just be an introduction saying, I've joined this team. Send them a Slack message, send them a DM, whatever. I've joined this team. Do you have 15 minutes? Let's have a chat. Just, say hi, introduce yourself. Trust me, that is one of the biggest things that gets you promoted, that helps you in progression. Because when it comes to the time of your promotion or progression, senior leadership will sit down, look at all the proposed promotions and have a discussion. Yes, me as your manager, I know your work, but then they're going to ask everyone else, do you know of this person? Have you seen them do anything amazing? They want to go from, um, you know, uh, an individual contributor to like the tech lead or an architect. Do they have the right skills? Have they even reached out to your team before? So things like this, definitely helps a lot. Um, be visible again. So try and go out of your way and demonstrate your work to people around you. So yes, you're doing your own work, you're creating amazing DevOps pipelines and writing amazing code, but again, it's just sitting with you. So try and be visible. If there is an opportunity in your team to present at a tech event, tech all hands, whatever, sign up. It may be intimidating, just like this presentation is for me now. You're going to be nervous. It's going to be hard, but trust me, you got to push yourself. You got to put yourself in hard situations to improve. That's life in general, and that's like the basic thing about our careers is you want to do hard things to improve. So be visible, document your work. This is very, very important. So yes, you can do amazing things, but 6 months down the line, you're going to forget what you did 6 months before. Keep a personal tracker, could be at your workplace, but document every single thing you do, and also update your resume as you go along. This is so important, right? Because sometimes what happens is you work at a company for 3 years, you suddenly get laid off, or you lose your job, or you have you need to move on, and your resume is 3 years old. And then you go on updating your resume, but you only remember the things you did in the last 3 months, and you miss the things you did maybe 2 years ago, which was really, really important and really amazing, but you just forgot to put them in your resume or your CV. So document your work and constantly visit your CV again. So every, 3 months, visit your CV, update it, because ultimately, um, it is your career. Again, you own it. So you got to be prepared for events. Things happen, layoffs happen, you move on from companies. That's life. So be prepared. Speak to your manager or leadership about promotions early. Tell them next cycle, I want to be promoted. Tell me what I need to do. Make a plan. Just don't turn up one day before promotion, when they decide on promotions and say, look, I want a promotion. It's not going to work. Put that in your manager's head. Look, I want a promotion. Tell me what to do. Um, Generally speaking, if you want to be a superstar, find solutions before people find them. Anticipate problems. So if you see a problem bubbling up, speak about it. Speak to your manager and say, look, I see this coming up in a couple of weeks because this happened. And don't just speak with a problem. If you really want to impress your leadership, take the solution with the problem. Say, look, I've spotted this problem, but I also have a solution. What do you think? That is just amazing. That is what managers and in general, everyone loves people that come up with solutions, right? So that is what being a superstar is about. Bring solutions. Um, Understand people around you, understand the way people work, understand how your manager works, understand how your colleagues work. That is super important as well. You gotta be, you need to understand their ways of working to be able to work with them effectively. Understand how your manager works. Is your manager okay with you answering an email before he does? Or she does. Little things. Spot the tiniest of details that your manager or leader does, and work with that. It's going to help a lot. Again, communication skills is on there, again, as I bang on about that on every single slide. Finally, I think the last thing is choosing your leader wisely, and this is one of the most important things that people ignore, and I certainly did that myself in the first few years until I realized how important this is. So again, last time I'm talking about the chat window, I promise. Um, what are some of the things that make, I would say, let's say a bad manager or a bad leader? What are some of the traits or things they do that you want to stay away from? I love to see in the chat. So if you've had I don't know, bad manager before, or if you know of certain things. Attitude, micromanagement, definitely. Big red flags. Not providing honest feedback. Yep. Bad companion. They don't care about your growth. Again, yes, big red flag. Biased, yep, not being fair with the team. So being very selective. Too much pressure of work. Taking credit for your work. Oh, yeah, big red flag. Yeah, I think you've covered most of the stuff we have on this slide already. Allowing others to dump their work on their team. Yep, not kind of controlling the work that's coming in, not standing up for the team, not backing you up. Um, I guess when you make mistakes, that's an important one. So does your manager, allow you to make mistakes? Because if you're not making mistakes, you don't really grow. That's something one of the managers I love used to say. Is like, I'm in this position of management because I've made more mistakes than all of you combined. It is so true. It 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 it's just spot on. You have to make mistakes to grow, because if you're always perfect, you're either like, I don't know, a superhuman, or you're just not going out of your comfort zone and doing something different or growing. So you have to be able to make mistakes. And as a manager, they need to give you that space to make mistakes. Yes, if you make the same mistake 10 times, then I think it's you and not your manager. But, you know, certain mistakes, they need to give you that space. Psychological safety, it's a big one. So do you have the safety of going up to your manager and being honest about a situation without the fear of having, you know, criticism or, you know, negative feedback and all that stuff? Do you feel safe on raising issues? um, that sort of stuff. So, and again, most of this is covered in the chat already. So do they care about your career aspirations? Do they have frequent conversations with you? Do they have one-to-ones with you? And trust me, having a good manager or leader kind of 10x's your career growth um, easily. So you need to have a good manager in your role to help you grow. And if you could be technically brilliant, but if you're stuck with a kind of bad manager or bad leader, it's going to slow your growth down tremendously. So very, very important to choose your leader wisely. And kind of like, you know, if it's not working out, if you have a manager like that, speak to them about it, speak to them professionally, bring it up to them and say, look, these are the things I think they don't work and we need to talk about it. If it still doesn't work, speak to someone outside of your leadership group. So if you have other leaders in the business that you can trust, again, goes back to the point of networking. So if you've made connections, if you've spoken to people already, it won't be awkward speaking to them about your manager. But if you have spoken to them already and they're like, you know, vice president of sales or marketing or someone big, and you speak to them and you say, look, I'm going to speak to you in confidence. I think this isn't working out. What should I do? Maybe they might just guide you. Maybe they might mentor you in a way that, you know, it just works out. Finally, if nothing works out, you know, find a better leader. Trust me. It's not worth sticking to a manager for a few years and just ruining your career. Um, you know, find a better team. There's lots of companies out there. I think that's the last slide, I promise. I'm pretty sure it is. So to summarize it, look, it's your career ultimately. You have to be wise and selective about the things you do with your career. But make sure, and this is important, it's in bold, right? You only fail when you give up. And that's very, very deep. It's got a very deep meaning because it's about your mindset. You haven't failed until you give up. So someone can strike you down, someone can, you know, you can get 100 rejections, 1,000 rejections. You could go without a job for 5 years, but if you haven't given up, you haven't failed. So keep trying. The job market is hard. Lots of people apply to, you know, it's the truth. Hundreds of people apply to each job. And I think all of us can help with that as well. So if we all be selective about what we apply for, instead of spamming every single job out there, if everyone started doing that, the application list would be much lower. We wouldn't have hundreds of people on each job. We may have like 30 or 40 people that actually kind of fit that job specifically in some areas maybe, but not all of them. But yes, in terms of, you know, the message here, um, it's your success, your career, drive it, be with a leader who supports your growth, who is vested in your growth. And again, when you're looking for a job, you have an interview, prepare for it, and make sure you do it wisely and properly, and you put in effort, and it's ultimately going to pay off. In terms of, yeah, that's the last slide. So the stuff I haven't covered, I guess, let me just bring the screen here. Life at Oracle generally, or any other big corporation, I think for my role personally, as a person in cybersecurity or management, it's to make sure that my team has the right tools, the skills, again, all of the things are listed, the right environment for them to do amazing things, for them to shine. And this is what I've told my team all the time because my manager told me this all the time. I've learned from a good manager. You'll be with a company for a couple of years, for 5 years. Maybe some people, of course, stick with companies for 10, 20 years. It's fine. But some folks come in a company for a couple of years, and that's fine. You come, you learn your skills, you do amazing things. And the minute I can't afford you anymore, so if a company offers you double the salary, is the day I'm happy because I can't afford you anymore and you move to a new company and that's your progression and you're doing amazing things. So um, that's my job, right? To make sure that the team is getting everything. Of course, from technical, point of view, it's all about cybersecurity. So making sure we are safe, protected, all that stuff. But those are the technical details. In terms of the other stuff, it's about making sure that the team has the right things. I'm making the right decisions. I'm giving them the right training. All of the right things they need to be successful in this job and any future job they may apply for. So hopefully this overview was kind of helpful. Um, and again, I guess the final disclaimer, I hate speaking in terms of public speaking. I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to improve, and it's baby steps. Look, again, I'm challenging myself. I'm on here, and this is part of challenging yourself, going out of your comfort zone, presenting, because ultimately that's how you're going to improve. So thank you, Ali. Thank you, the team, for having me on here. Any questions, feel free to pop up, unmute yourself maybe, or pop them in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to be the first to say that I thought it was an excellent presentation. And the two main takeaways for me are that you don't fail if you don't give up. You just keep going. And the second most thing that I took away is getting out of your comfort zone. That's how you grow. Absolutely. That's how you grow. Jump out of your comfort zone. And yeah, so
Definitely. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. That was amazing.
Thank you. I think amazing is such a big word. I'll have a good night's sleep tonight.
Amazing. You look like someone who's been doing this for a long time, so don't say you're.
Oh, no, trust me.
I know. Yeah. I know. It's like,
no, you did great. Like,
he's new at this? I don't think so.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that was incredible, Daniel. Some, productive information we can definitely take on board. And like Daniel mentioned, you have to work on your communication skills. You have to be visible, and you need to, take the right steps and also improve yourself on a daily basis. Have a plan, and always you can always go back to drawing board if you get some feedback. If you realize you're not up to date or you're missing out on a few skills, you can go brush up on that and work on that. You can even get feedback from your peers, colleagues, managers, etc. There are good people available on LinkedIn as well. So there are people available who are willing to help, who are willing to connect with you, have a quick conversation. Maybe you might have a talent, but you don't know how to present it. So that's a very, very big thing. Like, and also for all the latecomers, people who missed the presentation, this will be shared on YouTube and you will be able to catch up to it. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask Daniel. Daniel is here and he'll be able to answer your questions. You
I
can
think
type
everyone's
in
fallen
chat
asleep
box.
after my presentation.
So I have a question for you, Daniel. So I know you work in Oracle, in the security department, and you're one of the manager as well. What does the cloud security department focuses on? Like, do you guys collaborate with them as well? How do you guys work with the cloud team?
Yeah, great question. So I guess it's just like any other team, but in terms of if you're working in a big enterprise, you have lots of different, and I have to be careful. Again, this is one of the things. When you do work in an organization, always be careful about the things you say, because giving out too much information is being from a security mindset is like telling the world how you do things and opening doors to to people that want to do bad things to you, right? So always be careful about what you say in terms of your organization. But generally speaking, right, it is, if you work in a big organization, you don't just have one team, you have several teams. So if you do see jobs in, Microsoft or Google, and they say, look, we're hiring for the Dart team, or we're hiring for this specific security team, you may just be working with one product. So you may just be working on Xbox or gaming or their cloud or this something specific. So there are multiple teams, right? I'm part of one team in Oracle that looks after one particular product. But to your question, Ali, of course, because everything's kind of working together and integrated in the large enterprise, you do have to keep in touch with other teams, the cloud team, development teams, sales teams, all of that. You have to work together and collaborate.
So I'm assuming you guys also, look at the compliance stuff like auditing, SOC compliant and everything with a new product, working with, client and client and customers. So making sure that they feel good and, reputable to be working in the market.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, there are teams that do that. Of course, when you bring on a new product, you have to look at compliance, and then supply chain security is a big deal. So we saw SolarWinds, we saw a couple of major breaches through supply chain. So again, that's a big thing. Auditing is important. So to your customers, to your investors, they want to see companies that have done an audit and are compliant. Again, that's a whole different conversation in terms of being compliant and being secure, because generally some people think that, okay, if you take the boxes of compliance, you've done these things, you are now secure. But that's not the case, because compliance is maybe the bare minimum you need. It's just a framework. Being secure is completely different. Security is kind of, it's a mindset, it's a feeling, it's everyone. You could be compliant, but if as a developer I decide to go and publish secrets in my code, and post it in a public repo, compliance goes out of the window, right? So yeah, teams do different things. And yes, if you work, I think that's one of the things in a big organization. If you work in a big company, you have so many people doing amazing things that you can always learn from different people. So if you're interested in security, if you're interested in um, Oracle Linux, for example, because it's an Oracle product, right? You could speak to folks that develop Oracle Linux or work in that team. So that's a good benefit of working in a big enterprise, I would say, in general.
Awesome. I have my last question. So I know Oracle is a larger organization, and I also know that they use multi-cloud environment. And I'm also aware that, they use multiple platforms like Microsoft, Linux, etc. So my question is like, which system side do they use mostly? I know they use all multi systems, but if you compare it with Microsoft or Linux, which one do they use mostly?
I love the question, because I know you already know the answer to this. um, yeah, I guess generally, servers are all Linux, right? So that's with any company, not just Oracle. I'm assuming it's generally in tech, it's all Linux
Yeah.
that's being used. Of course, Microsoft is used where appropriate, but servers across the internet, be it Oracle, Microsoft, or whatever, it's usually Linux.
The cloud as well, but which cloud is mostly used in Oracle?
Which cloud is mostly used in Oracle? Okay, right. I get your question. Of course, we have our own cloud, so Oracle Cloud will probably be
Right.
used.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect.
and yeah, it's
What
again.
about third party cloud? Which one do you guys use in
I
second?
wouldn't know specifically, because again, some parts of Oracle may be using other cloud providers,
Uh-huh.
but I know mostly because we have our own cloud. I'm pretty sure most services are running on our own cloud.
You see, Oracle has so many remote opportunities to work remotely as well. And I myself is interested in a few positions like the Linux administration. And when I went in the job description, it also mentioned you need to be good in Terraform, Kubernetes, etc. So nowadays, if you want to apply for a Linux job, you still need these extra skills, which comes handy for these kind of issues. So definitely, I took great value from this session myself, and I really enjoyed it. And I will be sharing it on YouTube. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to type in chat or you can speak. If not, we will be sharing some new schedule and wrapping up the session.
So
Okay, I
thank
see
you,
a
Donnie.
question. Yeah, I see a thank you. I see a question. How deep do you still do technical stuff within security space being a manager? Yeah, it depends. It varies. So again, if you're leading a small team, and this varies company to company, I would say, and what level of management you're in. So let's say you work in a startup as a manager, you're going to be hands-on because it's a small team. You got to be doing everything, right? The when you start moving to bigger companies and you go higher up into management, it becomes about management and you go further away from the technical details and weeds of the role to being manager and looking at strategic things. So things like your direction, your roadmap, your budgeting, alignment with corporate policies, things like that. So the higher up you go, like if you're a VP in a big company, um, I doubt you're doing anything technical. Usually it is more about strategic initiatives and that sort of stuff. Personally, I'm involved in both things, still hands-on with technical stuff. So um, because it's easy to forget the things you do. 6 months you don't do, I don't know, some Cisco commands or Linux commands and you've forgotten what they do, right? So it's good to be hands-on. And on that note, if you're learning, there are good platforms out there to be hands-on. There's a cloud guru in terms of cloud resources. There's immersive labs. They do a student version and an enterprise version. They do like hands-on labs as well. There's Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. I'm talking from a security perspective. So if you want to do hands-on stuff, there are plenty of labs out there, but I'm sure there is stuff for uh, cloud, Linux, and Terraform in general as well that you can do.
That's a great question. Um, Also, I've encountered a few issues on the Oracle VirtualBox. Like the other day, I was deploying a Windows 11 Pro just for testing purpose for my company, and I got stuck at an issue. And I dropped a message in the WhatsApp community group, and Daniel was the one to give me exact steps I need to do. And within like 2 minutes, I was able to resolve that issue. So thank you, Daniel. And this goes to out to everyone here in the video call, that if you get any issues regarding using Oracle platforms, drop a message. Daniel will be able to help you in that. So yeah, thank you for that, Daniel.
Thanks, no problem. See another question. Is there one or two security certs that you would recommend to a beginner in security? Yes, it depends on what part of security you want to get into. I can do a different session because it's a much detailed conversation, and whoever's interested in security can join that. But generally speaking, I think get your foundations right. So security is built on things you do day to day. So your Linux, your Terraform, if you understand how things work, how things talk to each other, how networks work, how applications are deployed, how web servers work, how logs work, how monitoring works. If you understand all of that, learning security isn't that hard on top because it's just another thing on top that you're learning, right? But depending on where you want to go, if you just want to get a baseline, it's the CompTIA Security Plus. They also do A Plus, Linux Plus, Cloud Plus, other certifications. But Security Plus is generally considered the baseline in terms of basic security knowledge. And then depending on the domain you want to go into, and again, we can have a different call about that, there are different directions you can go into. So pen testing, SOC analyst, GRC, auditing, compliance, lots of things, right? hands-on platforms. Those were for security, but some of them are Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, Immersive Labs, and a few others. You can always Google them. So you can Google hands-on learning platforms for the technology you want, for Linux, for Terraform, for cloud, sandbox environments for the cloud. You can always find plenty of resources.
Amazing stuff. So I don't think there are any more questions. That's great. We've covered them all. I'm just going to share my screen. Me and Amir are going to discuss a few projects and a new schedule for everyone in the community and myself as well, because I'm in the learning stages. I love learning myself as well. So let me share, allow me to share my screen. Is my screen visible? Perfect. So as you guys can see, on the 22nd of September 2024, we have a special event coming on how to become an AWS community builder by a community builder himself, Harry, who is also one of the admin in the community. On the 28th of September, we have a beginner project coming, which me and Amir will be leading together, but we will be open to people who are willing to put the work in and also willing to learn and also shadow if they don't have no skills or if they're brand new to AWS. So we will be creating and attaching internet gateways, creating public and private subnets. Let me show you the diagram we're going to be working on. So this is a diagram. Amir, would you like to explain a bit on this diagram?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. Everybody knows me by now. My name is Amir. I'm a solutions architect. And as part of making these sessions, more interactive and fun, we were talking about, starting some labs. And one of the labs people always ask me to make or to demonstrate is building your own VPC from scratch, your own virtual private cloud, specifically on AWS. I know there's a lot of AWS people here, so I don't know if this is something you guys are interested in, so we can build it from scratch. And maybe another session, I'll show everyone how to build the diagram, the one I built here. This is my own work, how to build it in another session. But I think it will be fun. This is a cloud architecture for any application to be highly available, scalable on AWS. So we can use this for any future projects. Maybe in the future we can build like a cloud formation for this to make these steps easier. But it's important to learn how to build this whole thing from scratch in the beginning. So yeah, I think it'll be fun, and yeah, I'm excited.
So thank you, Amir.
Yeah,
It will be a great learning experience for us as well. Also, working with you guys. So, we all need to pick up and work on our skills on a regular basis because that's what technology is about. It's always updating, it's always changing. So we need to stay current. Going back to the schedule, on the 29th of September, we will be starting a real business project. And what project is that? So we are actually making a website for the community, and we are making a dynamic website. Basically, what we are doing is we are creating a platform-based website. It's going to be a web-based application, aka website. So what we will be doing is we will be making members portal. You will have your own members area to log in. You will have your dashboard, which will be integrated by your LinkedIn, with your LinkedIn and with your GitHub. So if you want to make any changes or anything on your dashboard, because you will have a public profile in the community website where recruiters or companies can go and click on your profile, and we will be giving you ratings according to the work you put in, and so companies can see, hey, this guy's doing really good. I mean, he's done this, done that. So what we are also doing, we are integrating the LinkedIn API with it. So what does that mean? That means if you post anything on LinkedIn, it will be visible on your public dashboard. If you post anything on your GitHub, it will be published on your community members dashboard. So we will be working on this as a team. I think having a number from 5 to 6 people will be a good number to start this with. And like Amir mentioned, he will also be doing a session on how to create diagrams, as that's very important. It actually lays out and makes the project more visible and more understandable of where the connection points are coming from, how it's working, which technologies are being used. Also, we will then create a document on this. We will make it compliant. The website will go through security audits before we actually deploy it in the public. And we are also working in partnership with AWS. So we will have some great stuff. I don't want no spoilers currently because it's too soon to talk about it. Me and Amir will have a meeting with AWS where we will see the benefits we can provide to the community. And guess what? We are not charging anything to you guys because we want to learn. We want to help other people learn. We want our network to grow, your network to grow, and we want the community to shine and be rock stars. So yeah, that's all from me. And if anyone has any questions regarding this, you can type in the chat or you can unmute your mic and ask.
Yeah, and I think in no time, everybody here will be sharing their own projects. When we start doing this project thing, sharing their own projects, that's what an employer wants to see. He doesn't want to just, as Danny said, which is very important, if you have your knowledge for yourself, nobody's gonna see that, right? So maybe that's a way for everybody to start posting their, what they learned from these projects, what did they build, and to make it more visual, as Ali said, with diagrams, maybe posting a video about the whole project you did, walking people through it. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. Good things are coming.
Also, if anyone has a project in mind and they're feeling innovative and creative about it, hey, share it with us, bring it to
Absolutely.
the table, discuss it with us.
Regarding the
Great.
advanced business project, you were saying, Ali, that we could shadow or look in even if we're not doing the project. So
That,
how does, because I would like to do that. This way I can, learn
yeah.
as well.
So I'm doing the project management for this project myself. So what we will be doing, we will be having regular Zoom meetings on this. We will have a channel board where the projects will be listed, and obviously people who are not working will be added as viewers. But there are some areas you won't be allowed to see for security reasons. Like we don't want you to see the code and stuff we're using in it. But if you're working in it, you will be able to see it. People who will be working in it, they will be signing a consent form. So, making sure everything is secure and policies are being followed. So yeah, it will be a great first fun project where we will hosting everything on AWS, uh, including the data, including the connectivity, and etc. So yeah, that was a great session. Thank you everyone. Thank you all for attending. And we'll see you guys again on the 22nd with a amazing session. So yeah, stay tuned if anyone has any questions and if anyone wants to, join the community, feel free to join, drop a question. We are also on LinkedIn. Daniel is also on LinkedIn. And if anyone wants to share their LinkedIn profile or, connect with us or send a direct message, or if there is something they don't want to discuss in public and they want to discuss on a one-to-one, you're more than welcome to send me a message, Yvonne a message, Daniel a message, Amir a message, or any admin in the group. Fantastic. So I'm just going to stop the recording and end the meeting. So once again, thank you all for coming and I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day.
Thanks, Ali. Thanks, Danny. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.